Welcome to another edition of the Business Owner Spotlight Series. I'm here today with April Barrett from Flame Lily Construction, and she's a pretty interesting lady, so I'm glad to have her on this edition. How are you doing today?
I'm fabulous. How about yourself?
I am making it. So, April, tell me a little bit about your business. Tell me a little bit about Flame Lily Construction.
Our business is Flame Lily Construction, and by the name, it is a construction company. I have a partner named Mary. We're a women's owned business, and we do building from the ground up and remodeling as well. And then we also help some investors with flips, and also anybody that's wanting to own property to rent, we'll help them get that up and going for them to be able to rent out. So we have lots of different facets.
How did you get started in this? It's kind of interesting.
Kind of random. I was a DJ for a little while after college. My mom passed away, and she had a family business that was doing apartment rentals and buying smaller units and doing small renovations and making affordable housing. Dad had another job, so I stepped in and did it for a little while. And then I decided that I was done kind of learning what I needed to learn there and was thinking about going a little bit bigger with it. So I started putting my application out there, and I got hired by a building company that was a master builder. He built like $1 million up projects, expensive remodels, additions, big stuff. So I worked under him for 6 years, and my business partner worked there as well with me. And, he just started getting a little older and not wanting to do the big $1 million, $2 million builds. It's a different kind of building than, in 100,000 price point, 200,000. Not better or good, just it's bigger. So different engineering involved. So it was kind of, do we stay with them or see if we can fly on our own? So we decided to kind of just jump and see what we could do. So we've been going for, I think we're on our 6th year now.
So, who's your ideal customer? You do remodeling, but you also do new construction, you said, right?
Yes, we do. Both, to be honest. I mean, they're different. Obviously, a remodel, you're working with the existing structure. Retrofitting is kind of what you're trying to do as far as making the space new and nice, but not wanting to make it look like you just added it onto the home or, that it's out of place. So, remodeling, you're looking at matching trims, styles, kind of, again, keeping to that true design of what the home originally was, to not put the remodel looking out of place with the entire space. New construction, you start with a new slate. You've got your plans and you can change them on paper, and sky's the limit depending your budget, obviously. It's a different type of thinking, I suppose.
Have you seen a
So
slowdown in the new construction at all?
I have, as far as new builds going up, I have seen a slowdown in that. That being said, we never caught up with the demand. So building slowed, but there's going to be a need for it again very soon. And I think people are going to realize that. I went to a very interesting lunch and learn the other day that was like financially based. And I am not a financial advisor. I'm not a loan officer, but this is just what I learned in class and what I've seen. But as far as interest rates being up, I guess think about 2020 and 2021 being kind of like the clearance sale of interest rates, right? Like they don't normally go that low. And people are so focused on the interest rates, I think they forget what happened with the contracts on homes that were being put in. You had 20 contracts in on a home and going $20,000, $30,000 over asking and being sold within an hour. That's not good either. So I think that, yeah, we're seeing an increase in interest rates, but at the same time, it needed to stable out. We shouldn't be having 20 contracts on a home. That's too many. So I think we're going to see a little bit of like, okay, we're going to get contracts on homes, but it's not going to be flying off the shelves in this huge markup on the home, A. And then B, I was asking the gentleman that was running the class on how the math worked. Like, okay, you had people paying $30,000 over asking, in some cases more, some less, obviously. And then what does that math look like for a higher interest rate? Because you're overpaying for the house over here almost, but then like now you're not paying as high of a price with the house being at a higher interest rate. And he said most of the time the math worked out to about $50 in difference in payment every month. Now, that's not going to be true for every loan or every circumstance or every situation, obviously.
Yep.
But I thought that was interesting to look at it from both ways. And then you also have that now driving up the rental market. So they're now seeing that a lot of people that have decided not to buy a home because of the interest rates are now paying more for their rented living than they would if they would have committed to buying a home. There's a lot of different facets around it, and it could all change too. So all of this is based around a market that is ever changing and fluid and alive. But at the moment, it's what I got from this guy, and I thought he was pretty spot on with what he was saying, and I agree with what I've seen as well. Being a builder, being a real estate agent, I think that we have a little bit of a slowdown. I mean, people are still going. There's always business that's going to be going no matter what. Life happens. We're in an industry where we're dealing with people's homes.
Yeah.
People have babies. They need that extra room. They might need to move to get a bigger house to accommodate children or whatever life throws at you. The economy doesn't stop life, basically. And then just, different needs in your home. A lot of people shifted to at-home work, and I'm seeing a lot of remodels that are including home offices or new builds that are very concentrated on a home office. And a lot of, even if people aren't spending the entire time 100% remote work, even if they're doing 50-50, they're still wanting that office space and that option to be able to work in that space and function at a high capacity. I think that's key for me, at least with a home office, is just having it really organized and kind of separated from the rest of the house so that you get in that mind frame of work.
You started it with a lunch and learn, so that's a perfect segue into this next question. So what has been your biggest learning in business so far?
Wow. I mean, I don't feel like I ever stop learning. I feel like if you think you know it all, that's when you've stopped growing. Education is extremely important. Listening to other people's advice, opinions, you don't have to take everyone's, but I listen a lot. And then at the end of the day, I think about what makes sense for me and my business. Where was their perspective coming from? How was their opinion affecting what they're saying? And you're going to get a lot of good advice, but it might not be right at that time. It may not be right for that situation, but it doesn't mean you can't think about that in the future when you come across something along those lines, that now that advice is pertinent and now you can use it. So as far as education, we do a lot of business classes through the SBDC, so the Small Business Administration, and just reaching out to like those education classes, not only about business, but maybe your profession. I am in a licensed field, so for our real estate stuff, we're required to have continued education classes. For my building, our license for that, we're required to have continued education classes. Codes change, laws change, rules change, and I think that's probably true for most businesses that are regulated. But it also gets you in meeting other people too when you get to take a class. And maybe you get to meet somebody that's doing the same thing you're doing, and you get to talk about how you run your business and they talk about how they run theirs, and you can kind of pick up pointers from each other. I think competition's a good thing. I think competition drives us to do better. And I also think that it gives you like a colleague and somebody to maybe not go to for like every single little question, but if you're really wondering how they're doing something and they do it well, a lot of times people will share. You just have to ask.
I would assume that you would agree with if I said that you classify as a lifelong learner.
Yes.
Which is, yeah. So another question for you is, what's the biggest obstacles you've had to overcome as a business owner?
As a business owner, you are making your own money. If you don't book business, a lot of times you don't have money coming in. So, I think getting creative with that. My business partner and I, when we first started, we didn't quite realize how much insurance payments were going to be. And we knew we needed insurance, but we didn't realize that it was thousands of dollars. And you don't just get to pay 1 month, you need to pay a couple months. So we got creative and we made hula hoops from hand, and we went and sold them at music festivals and parks, and We had them in a couple record stores. And after, I don't know, a couple hundred hoops, we had the money. So I would say if you hit an obstacle, don't let it stop you. Just try and think outside the box and get creative with a way to be able to push forward. It may not be immediate. It took us a while to sell some hula hoops and, get a couple $1,000s. But at the end of the day, we made a fun product. We had a little bit of fun doing it, and we achieved the goal of being able to raise the funds to get the insurance to start our company.
That's an interesting story. A lot of times when I talk to business owners, you'd be surprised. It's like a lot of people are unwilling to make the sacrifice. It's like you wanted to do this, so what can I do to make this happen instead of waiting around?
Right.
And kind of on that note is, what does the future look like? And what do you see as the main challenge moving forward?
Obviously, we hope for the best and we try and prepare for the worst. I would love to continue seeing us expand, build more houses. We do custom builds and spec builds. So meaning we have a client that we build a house for a custom build, and it's their vision and their dream. And then we do spec builds, which means we build for a speculative buyer, and that we buy the lot, we get the loan, and we sell the house with our real estate license to like the public. That takes a lot of money to do. It takes a lot of savings. But I do love doing the spec builds because it's our design start to finish, and it's what we want it to be. And I love creating something beautiful for people to enjoy and live in. And I do enjoy doing that for a client as well. But there is just something being able to build it when you've truly created it all on your own. Just start to finish, the whole vision. Not only that, but we put our blood, sweat, and tears into it as well. A lot of people think a general contractor just sits back and like hires people to do the work. But a good one digs in and helps with work. If I can get materials to a job site and not have to bug my boys to do it, then we're going to do that. If landscaping needs to be done, I'm going to pick up some mulch and start landscaping, moving wood, I moved lumber the other day. The tasks are really endless. It's just about being part of the team, not just directing the team.
Is there any particular obstacles that you think are going to occur in the coming year?
There is what I was talking about earlier, a little bit of a hesitation in the market for buyers, sellers, builders. Remodelers a little different. You can be doing a remodel based on something went wrong in the home, like general maintenance. And so therefore now you might be doing something because you have to take care of something else. And then people that are in a home, they just need things to change sometimes, again, based on life. So like aging in place type of situation. New builds and that sort of thing. I think we might see a little bit of cooling like we are at the moment. I would like to think that interest rates come back down just a little bit and people realize it's not as scary as what they think it is, and that we get to create more building because it's only going to help the current market because we're still in a shortage of homes. I hope that things go better for everyone on that front. Because the more homes there are, then it kind of brings the prices down a little bit. Less homes, more people, more demand drives prices. It could go wrong and things could get tighter. And that's something that, as a small business owner, it doesn't really matter what you do, that you kind of have to keep an eye on that. You kind of have to keep an eye on the economy and see what's going on. You have to decide when you're going to expand. Maybe if you were thinking about expanding your business this moment in time, like maybe now this is where you're deciding to keep the cash and pull back a little and wait and see what happens. And then there's times where you just push forward and hope for the best. A small business owner is not for the faint of heart.
Do you think that there's a possibility of pent-up demand for building a new home? Like, are there customers sitting on sizable down payments, waiting for financing on a house, waiting for interest rates to go down? Do you think there's some of that?
Yeah, just as far as talking to people and kind of, again, going to lunch and learns and finding out what the feel of the industry, you could be right, you could be wrong, but it does seem like there's people just kind of sitting, waiting, and those people will eventually get sick of waiting, to be honest, and they will start moving. As long as things don't go into like straight catastrophe mode, people will start adjusting to kind of like the new norm, if that makes sense. There is always going to be business, good economy, bad economy. Again, life happens. It's just sometimes you might have to get a little bit more creative with the way you find your business. And part of that is networking. Part of that is you don't have to blast Facebook with it every day, but maybe just putting up a video of what you did related to your business that day, or a picture or something, just as like a friendly reminder, as I like to say. I don't think that sales, you have to be in somebody's face all the time, 24/7. Like, yes, you need to be present, but I don't think you have to be banging their door down either. I think there is an elegant way of being able to market and remind people gently at the same time.
Yeah. Well, you want to build relationships, not transactions.
Exactly.
Well, hey, April, that's all I had for you. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
I really enjoy what I do. So, I was like, oh, it's hard, not for the faint of heart and all that stuff. I think that if you find something that you do really enjoy and passionate about, and you're willing to try and make those creative moves to make it happen, then you know that what you're doing, you really like and enjoy, and to keep doing it.
Well, hey, April, I definitely appreciate you coming on today, and I hope you all the best in 2023. And again, thank you for taking the time.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.